so that you guys can see it. But welcome everybody. So my name is Amber Dodd, and I learned how, and what I learned this year, I put it here so I didn't forget to say, is I learned to make my own baby food. I had my baby in January last year. If you were in my session yesterday, you know that my baby is turning 1 year old next week, and I can't believe it because for one, it shows how long we've been in quarantine, or how long I haven't been at my school site, because January 14th was my last day, and then he was born on the 15th. But really learning how to do baby stuff, and baby food was one of the things it was really easy to do. And I'm glad that I learned how to do it and just made my own. And then also learned how to slow down. So really learned how to, I'm usually a person that is like hands in a bunch of different things, and really learning to take back and to kind of step back and kind of focus in on what's really important. And thanks for the congratulations on surviving the first year. Kind of, it's been a weird first year, and a lot of family that he still has to meet, but it's been a fun first year as well, with that. But again, my name is Amber Dodd. I work at LSL High School. I'm one of the EdTech coaches, and I teach Avid 10 this year, though my background is in ELA. And before we get started, I want to know how comfortable you guys are with Cami. And let me post a link in the chat for you guys. Let me grab the correct link. So this is an extension that I'm using, but I want you guys to just fill this out real quick. How comfortable are you using Cami? So are you a total newbie? You maybe used it a couple times, you use it, but you only know the basics, or you use it a lot. So go ahead and fill out. It'll just take you to this quick Google form here, and go ahead and let me know, how comfortable are you using Cami? And also, while you guys are filling that out, I am blown away with how many people are in this session right now. There's 56 people in this session right now. So thank you. And feel free to stop and ask questions, and to stop and ask questions and put in the chat. I'll be monitoring it as much as I can as we're kind of going through and answering your questions as well. Or jump in and on mic. I'm pretty informal that way. The extension that I'm using is, this one is Slides Poll. It is an extension that you can use, and then it creates the Google form for you. This is the one I'm using right now for it. It's called Slides Poll. All right, so that's your little bonus for the session. You can come to my sessions, you can get some bonus features sometimes. All right. And yeah, it's free. I'm all about the free stuff. So this one is free. All right, so it looks like most of us have used it a couple of times, but only know the basics. So this is a really good session to kind of talk about it, because I'm going to go over all of the features with the focus on the accessibility features, but really going over all of the features of Cami and how to use it. Oh, I love that. I didn't know it was paper in Japanese. That's awesome. I included this video here if you guys want to watch it. It's about 2 minutes. I'm not going to spend the time right now because we are going to kind of do a deep dive into Cami, but this gives you an overview of what Cami is. And it's basically, most people think about it as kind of your writing tool and your annotation tool. I know for us, for the English department at our site a couple of years ago, we were looking at ways that we wanted to be able to write on paper, or like to be able to write on digital paper, I should say, and to be able to annotate text with this. And yeah, let me send you the sign-in link again, put it in the chat. So this, we looked at a couple of different things, and Cami really stood out to us for that, to be able to actually kind of draw and to kind of write with it. And so, and one thing I want to kind of point out, as I pointed out in the presentation, is that Cami can really be used across the curriculum. It can be used in every subject area, really just depending on how you set it up. So in my classes, these are a couple of examples. So I had them do like defining culture, and they had to type out their group. This was actually a group document that they were working on. And they had to type out what they like, the names and the beliefs, and then be able to do a little brainstorming with their group here. And then I had them actually do a group discussion. This doesn't work virtually because you kind of need them in person to do this. But this audio, I want to point out this audio feature here because that is one of the best things I think is about Kami. And then you have, of course, you can annotate, you can circle. I had them work on graphs with this. I'm just going to do a quick view of like how it's used cross-curricular, and then we're going to kind of dive in. We're going to dive into actually using it. And then for Kami for math, of course, we have a lot of our equation stuff. I'm sorry if you're a math person because I'm not. I'm going to totally butcher what I'm talking about with math. But as we can see here, like the students can actually like draw in, make it a little bit easier too. They can highlight different parts of here too. You can give them the graph paper. They can actually plot out their own things here. And as I mentioned in the SLAM session, you can, if you assign this through Google Classroom, you can actually grade using Kami as well and having those same features. Again, the similar things from science, we have where we could look at the biomes and we can color code things and have students kind of draw on things. And again, for social studies, similar things, having them highlight different parts of the text, having them highlight different parts of the map, and then also using it for the video and the audio features, which is my favorite part about Kami, is that it's embedded all in once. So let's go ahead and get started with this. And I want us to add the Kami extension to Chrome. So if you just go to the Chrome Web Store, if you don't have it already, the Kami for Chrome is going to be up here in your extensions. It's going to be a circle with a K. I know sometimes I add extensions and then forget about them. So if you can check here to see if you add it first. If not, the easiest way that I look up stuff is I just type in Chrome Web Store. And I just go to the web store and then I just search up Kami. And it's this first one that will be here. So again, I just went to the Chrome Web Store and looked up Kami. It'll be the first one here. It's already added for me, but next to yours, it should have like a little blue button that says Add to Chrome. So it will look like this. So I'll give you guys a minute to add it if you need to add it. And I put on here to have your students go through these steps the first time. Across the district, a lot of us are using Kami, so your students probably don't need to add it anymore. But in case they don't have it or the first time you use it in your classroom, just have them double check that they have the Kami extension just to make sure that they're getting the full benefits out of it, as well. So just have your students kind of go through these steps. When you assign it into Kami and Google Classroom, I'll also show you, it'll send a link to students on how to add Kami. So I'll go over that once I talk about how to add it into Google Classroom. But the first time you use it in your class, just double check that your students have it to make sure that they can go through it. All right. All right, so once it's added, and this is where I'm going to switch over and just go to Kami and show you guys. So how I build presentations, for my presentations, a lot of times my slides are just used as a guide, as a resource that you can look at later on. So I'm going to switch over from the slides and go directly into Kami and just show you guys directly in Kami. But I really build most of my presentations as a way that you can go back and as a resource that you can look and kind of go through all the steps that we're going through. So you can kind of follow along with the guides as I'm using it. I'm going through it, but I'm going to focus mostly on Kami. So once I have the Kami extension installed, I can click on it. And it first is probably going to prompt you to sign in. I'm already signed in, so this is what I already see. And I'm going to go through some of these features here. I will say like 90% of the time, I don't pay attention to the Kami extension. I added it in for Google Classroom mostly, but it's nice to have because you do have these features, and I want to kind of show you how to put it in this way, and then I'll show you how also to use it in Google Classroom as well. But this is a really nice way to kind of look at Kami as well, and an option that you have to use Kami with it. So when you have the extension, you're going to have a couple of options. So you can open from Google Drive, which we'll do in a second. You can open up from your computer. You can create a Google Classroom assignment directly, or you can have this blank page. This blank page is what I suggested using as a whiteboard. So when you click on this white page, if you need like a quick whiteboard, or if you want your students to have a quick whiteboard, you can just have them open up Kami and go to this. And you have a couple of page options. You can do a lined page, you can do a grid page, you can do a blank page, or you can even do a music sheet. If you are a music teacher and want to have them write their own music, you can do that. And then once they add it in, then they have the screen. They can use the Kami features directly on this blank page. So this was a great suggestion. One of my the PLCs at my site suggested using this as like their quick whiteboard. Now, if for distance learning, you would have to have them turn it in and like actually download it and turn it into you if you wanted to look at it. But if you just needed a quick like way to get them working or whatever, this is a great way to do it. In the classroom, teachers use this as the whiteboard so that they would have students quickly like pull up the whiteboard on their Chromebooks, do whatever they needed to do, and then like walk around the classroom or turn their Chromebooks around to show it. So this was kind of a way to kind of use that without spending more money on whiteboards or anything. Going back here though, I want you guys to click on the Open from Google Drive. And then once you've gone into your Open from Google Drive, just select the PDFs. Now, Kami will read any Google document. It will also read PDFs, kind of like what it's most known for is reading PDFs. So you can scan a document, scan a page, and like upload it as a PDF, and then you can write on it. So I don't care which PDF that you choose from your drive. We're just practicing right now. But if you go ahead and just pick one, I'm going to pick this first one here because it's the first one. But in your drive, just go ahead and click on PDF. So again, in Kami, once I had the Kami extension installed, it's taking a minute to load. Then I clicked on Open from Google Drive and just picked any PDF that just so that I can practice and play with. All right, so this is my PDF document. And it's in Kami. And so a lot of us might have used it for signatures, and I'm going to kind of go through the features one by one and going through it. But Kami has their toolkit that's here. If you had more than one page, you can click on the sidebar here to kind of see more than one page. Honestly, I ignore that and just leave that alone because I don't need it most of the time. But I have, this is what like our students would see when they open up Kami. They see the exact same thing we see with it. And again, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask in the chat or stop me. I know Mike can stop me and ask me any time. But so we're just going to kind of go through the tools that are used here, and I'll show you the tools that I'm most excited for as well. But we have our selection tool here. So really what this does is just gives us, if we want to have an arrow, if we want to have the hand tool and, use it that way, or select annotations. This one I don't use as often, but if I had a lot of annotations on my page that I wanted to delete quickly, I can delete them all at once here. So I'll show you that once we start playing with it and we have like some work that's on here. I'll show you how I find that to be the most effective use of it. The second tool here is we have our dictionary. So this is built into Kami. So all I need to do is like select on the dictionary, and then I highlight the word that I want to have it said, and then it brings up the dictionary definition for it. So this is really good with it. To make sure that the students are not changing the original document, when you post the assignment to Google Classroom, you have the option to make a copy for each student. It's also going to make it into a PDF. So it's actually, if you post a Google document and then you put it into Kami and send it out to students, it's actually going to make a copy of it and make it into a PDF for them. So they won't be changing the original document. They'll be changing like the PDF version of their document. So you don't have to worry about them changing it at all. But when you assign it through Google Classroom, you have the same options as any other assignment. So I just make a copy for each student with you. Yeah, and I'll show you once we go through the features, I'll show you guys how to upload it through Google Classroom with it. All right, so we have our dictionary, and then we also have a text to speech. Now, this is a computer reading text to speech, so it's not, it's going to be sounding like a computer, but I can have it read the whole page. So I can click read.
Trojan Tech Tips Tuesday, November 17th. Creating rubrics in Google Classroom. One of my go-to feedback rating solutions this year has been creating rubrics in Google.
So what I like about this, as you may have noticed, is that it highlights the text and then it highlights in a different color the word that it's actually reading. So we'll do
Trojan
that
Tech
again.
Tips Tuesday, November 17th. Creating rubrics in Google Classroom, one of my go-to feedback grading solutions.
Now that was kind of fast, so I can actually slow down the speed. So at this bottom speed here, I can actually make it go slower or faster depending on what I want it to do. So now I can have it
Trojan
go.
Tech Tips Tuesday, November.
It's probably a little too slow, but I can control the speed in which it is reading and which how fast or slow. I can also change the voice. So right now I have it on Alex, but I can also have Victoria read it as well.
Trojan Tech Tips Tuesday, November 17th. Creating rubrics in Google Classroom, one of my go-to feedback.
If I just needed one word to be read, I can just highlight that word and
Trojan.
have it read that one word. So if a student is like stumbling on a pronunciation of a word, they can actually highlight the word
Feedback.
and just get that one word instead of reading the whole text. And then you can also have it translate. Now, I say translate with a grain of salt. So if I scroll down through all of the voices I can choose from, I can actually have it translate into a different language. Like I said, take that with a grain of salt. When we've tried it before, it's not necessarily the best translation, but if I can put it for Spanish,
Trojan Tech Tips Tuesday, November 17 CRATINGRVRICS in Google Class.
so it's not the best reader, but it's not the best reader at all, but I want to put it out there that it's there. But I think it might confuse students a little bit more, but I can imagine as our technology gets a little bit better, as Cami continues to improve, that these probably will improve as well. But I just want to throw it out there that there is some translation features. And also you might want to change the voice and think about the voice that it's doing when you kind of have it read. But this is a really great tool. Like, again, it's a computer reading a text, but for those struggling students that might be struggling with the word or might just need to have focus and have like an audio reading with it, this is a really great tool that you can show them how to use and like have it with it. I know a lot of my students use this just on their own, just because they want to have, they don't want to like read the text. They want to have somebody else read it for them. And so this is kind of a great tool that we can use with that. The next tool feature is our markup. And so this is where we have like our highlighters. So I have an option of two different highlighters. One is my pen highlighter. So that's just going to highlight one word, or whatever I select, it's going to highlight. Or I have my box highlighter, so I can highlight bigger chunks of text there too. So either it's bigger chunks of text or pictures with it. I can change the color on the side here, or when I click, when I hover over this, it's a little tricky and it's not doing it for me now, of course. But when I hover over this, it should have a pop-up that will also, you can change the color there as well. So this is a really great feature for any text, for ELA, for whatever, if you want to have them highlight things as they read or to kind of pick out those key vocabulary words. This is a really great feature that we can have with it. And then we have a strike through feature and an underline feature as well with here. And you do have color options. So if you are wanting your students to pick certain colors to use for their highlights, they can actually pick it so that's here. I'm not quite thrilled with how they have the pick here. So when you pick it, it just kind of moves the rest of the colors down. So keep that in mind. That might be irritating for some students, but you can have them, have the colors that you want selected on the side here. All right, now we're getting to my favorite feature, and that is the comments. So with comments, we have our text comment. So this is kind of like what we see with Google Docs. So anywhere on the page, I can just click on it and it's going to give me a circle, and then I can put in my text comment here. So hi, or whatever. I can also change the color of this circle. So if I want it, for whatever reason, I need to have it a specific color, I can change the color of this as well. I also can leave voice comments. So this is really, really awesome because I know I get really lonely in distance learning and want to hear my students' voices, or I have students that just prefer to speak versus, some of my students are better speakers than they are writers. And so be able to still communicate their ideas. I can have them go through here, same thing, add in the comment anywhere. And then it's one thing you want to tell students and for yourself, if you're using this to grade, is that the recording starts right away. So you don't get any like leeway time with it. So if I click pause and if I start another comment, I can see that it's starting, my comment is starting right away. But this is a really nice tool. Like sometimes I just, even as like an English teacher or as an Avid teacher, I don't want to read everything. I want to listen to things. I like listening to things. I liked hearing my students' voices. And so this is just a way to mix it up too for the content where they don't need to write everything out. They can speak it here. And again, they are not adding or they're not going through anything else with it. Like it's all in one place. They can also do video comments. So I can do the same thing. I'll click on video here and I could start recording. Let's see if it's going to start. It's playing picture in picture. It's getting a little funky because I think I'm recording this on Zoom too, but I can record my video. My video is showing up down here, but I can record my video and have this, have the students like talk to me. Again, I want to see my students' faces, especially in distance learning. So these are really great features that we can have that, again, they don't have to go to another place to see it, to view it.
Start recording.
And one thing that's really great about this is I am a big advocate of Flipgrid. I like for years have been talking about Flipgrid because it's great. I want my students to not be able to write well, but able to speak well. And so I've been a big advocate for Flipgrid. And this is one way, again, they don't have to go to another document. I don't have to go to another site. I can just have it all in one place. And, and some of my students prefer speaking versus writing everything out. So this is another options that they can do here. And then the last one that they have is screen capture. So if you want them to show your work or how they got to something, you can actually have them do the screen capture. Now, the first time that I did a screen capture, it asks you to accept permissions. You have to accept permissions there's like a little extension that you add in for Cami to accept the screen capture. You just accept it and it works pretty well. And then I have the choice between my entire screen or the application window. So if I'm just having them show their work on this, I can have them show their work. And now I can have them write out and describe to me their process. So this is really great in like math classes. Like you want them to show your work and to show what they're doing on the page and to write out and to be able to talk through their steps as they're doing it. This is a great way that you can do it. Again, all in one place. I'm all for like everything in one place, and Cami does it. So this is a really great tool that we can use to use it and go through there. And yes, if you assign the document in Google Classroom, you can see all of their edits and their comments. And so you'll be able to see everything and you can add on to that as well. And the screen capture is a video. So the screen capture will actually be a video recording of them that they can, it will kind of talk through their video with it and go through. Oh, and I'm still recording, so I need to end that. So it will talk through. So like right now, this was my screen capture that I did.
And now I can have them write out and describe to me their process.
And so I'm going like meta because I'm going multiple layers of me talking about the same thing. And it could work from the whiteboard. The whiteboard page is really just a blank document. So you have all of these same features in the whiteboard page, or what I call the whiteboard page. It's just a blank document page. You have the same features here. So you can just say, hey, I'm assigning a blank document to you, just assign them a blank document in Google Classroom, and then have them to go over their work with that and to talk through it with it. So that is a way that I would do it as well. All right. Great questions. If you guys have any more questions, for sake of time, I'm going to keep going, but feel free again to ask me any questions. We do have a 45-minute sandbox time at the end where we can fully play and explore and go, ask any questions that you have too. But feel free to, again, to stop me anytime, but for time's sake, I'll continue to make sure we get through everything. The next one. The video limit, I believe, is 5 minutes. So I think the video limit is 5 minutes with it. I haven't pushed them to that limit in a really long time, but I believe it's 5 minutes. If we ever go back into in-person or when we go back into in-person learning too, I just want to point out these audio and these video ones are also really great for group documents. I love having students talk to each other and to like record those conversations because again, that's part of like ELA skills. And so a lot of times like I'll sign them. It's a little cumbersome to assign group work in Kami using Google Classroom. There's a couple of steps involved, but once you have it, I've had students once, like basically just one student record a conversation that they have and include it as part of their group document. And so that's been really, really nice and to have it set up. On that note too, if you do assign these as group documents, each student work that you do, there'll be like a bubble down here. I'm the only one on here, so there's no bubbles. But when you add more people to this, like the Kami document itself, more people, like the bubbles will appear and I can actually mute them so that I can focus on one student's work. So I can see if you do group work in Kami, you can kind of see it. It's a little troublesome, so I'm not going to go in depth with it for today to assign it, but just know that there's options out there. And if you need help setting up group work in Kami, feel free to ask me about that. So either one. So in the question in the chat was, do they have to sign the blank page or can they open one on their own and use the screen capture to record themselves doing the work? You can use either one. So you can assign it in Google Classroom. Now, if you use the screen capture in Kami, you'll need to like have them turn in the work in order for you to see the screen capture. But if you wanted just some like real quick, if you just wanted to say like, hey, go to a blank page in Kami and then use like Screencastify to screen capture and you'll still have to send in the work, but you can do it that way too. I would recommend that if you, I would recommend assigning the blank page just so that, you know, I don't know how many times I tell students like to turn in something and I already have like a couple kids that don't turn it in. So that way at least I can see their progress and see if they did work or not. But you can do either one. So you can assign the blank page that they can open up and do the screen capture, or they can just open it up in Kami and see the screen capture and do it that way too. Students have the same features. So they'll have Kami extension. And when they go to Kami, they'll see the same things that we see. So they can open up on their own as well. All right, so the next thing we have is our text box here. So our text box, this isn't a great document to showcase the text box, but it's just what it sounds like. So I can click on the text and then I can have them write in. It didn't quite go where I wanted to. So I can have them write in their text. So this is a great way if you're, you know, especially with like our Chromebooks and like the writing might be a little sloppy, you can still have them type in the text. And then once you click on the box here, you have full text editing things like capabilities. So same thing as like a Google Doc. So you can change the font if you would like to. You can change the font size. You can change the spacing. You can bold it. You can do all of the same features, including linking up. So you can actually have them insert a link directly into here as well. So same features that we have in Google Docs, you have here as well. Lots of different features. And again, they can even speak. So if you have students who, you know, have trouble typing or anything, you can actually even have them speak out and it would change it into the writing for them. So that is another option there as well. So full, like you can have them do the voice typing with there. Yes, so speech to text. Yeah, lots of hidden features. So they can write instead of well, they can speak instead of typing there. So and actually I have a lot of students that use this anyways. So if I say hello everybody, and it may not be doing right because I'm using like I have the zoom in a couple of different features going on. It should be going hello everybody. Oh, I caught it too soon, but you can see it's changing my type instead of speech. Without having all the extra distractions of Zoom and everything else going on, it'd probably be a lot easier to do. But yes, they can just type. And I have a lot of students that use this just because they don't like typing. And so they use a speech to text a lot of the times. All right. And then for my math people or math and science people here, is there a speech to text for comments? I don't think there is. Oh, there is a speech to text. For comments, there is. So when I click on comments, if I go to the text comment here, and let me get rid of some of these just so you can see it a little bit easier. So when I go to my text comment and go to add in a comment, I have the same voice typing option here as well. So voice typing, you can have it, so I can say hello. And again, with the like distractions of Zoom and everything, it's not working as well, but this is where they can do their voice typing there as well. So Cami has like everything embedded into it. All right. So looking at for our math and science people here, we have an equation writer as well. I'm not going to pretend to know that I know what I'm writing when it comes to math and science, but this is similar to your text box here where I'm going to get a box here and then I can write everything. They changed it slightly on me, but I should be able, oh, maybe I have to write first. Oh, they changed it slightly on me. They had a full like equation thing that was embedded directly into here. They might be phasing this out and just including this as part of text now. Cami changes slightly, but not much. So like I know I can do my subscripts and then I also have my function tool here also in the text one. So it looks like they're phasing out the equation and putting it directly into the text box now. But I can look at my math and kind of be able to figure out equations and symbols and have everything there. So you can have students type out. It's a little bit more cumbersome in my opinion, but you can have them type out equations versus just like writing them. When you go to Google Classroom, you still have the features of Google Classroom, Cameron. So I'll show you that in just a minute of what it looks like in Google Classroom, and you have the same features that you have with Google Classroom plus the Cami ones. So you can have, I believe you can have the comment bank in Google Classroom and still use them in Google and Cami. We'll check that out because now I'm saying it loud. I'm a little hesitant to like declare that, but I'm pretty sure because you have the same options. So when we go into Google Classroom, we'll definitely check that out. And then the last feature is here. We have a drawing tool. So if you have a stylus, or they can even use, like I'm using a mouse right now, that they can circle. So if you want to have their annotations, you know, like be more like this. Now it is a drawing tool. So like, it's not going to be like the perfect annotations that you might have with like your highlighting tool, but this is another way that they can kind of circle the text, that they can write and draw and kind of have everything there too. My students, a lot of times I'll just give my students Cami assignments just to see if they prefer handwriting or if they prefer typing. And a lot of my students actually like using the drawing tool to write out stuff. So I think they just like the flexibility of like doing something different and not just like being on a keyboard all the time. So that's another option that we have here. We also have shapes if you want to draw shapes, including inserting lines. So for math people, I know in particular, this is what the math department at my site is using a lot of, is this insert line feature, but you can also draw on other shapes as well and change the thickness of it. You can change the color of it. You have all of those tools kind of available for you as well. And then our eraser tool is probably one of the most important ones. So you can erase drawings and shapes. So when I click on that, I'm only erasing what I've drawn. So like these tools here, but it's not erasing my highlights. So if I drew something and I just need to have it erased versus like erasing all of my highlights, I can choose that. Or all annotations, any annotation that I make will erase with it as well. The one thing I wanted to show you guys, and I said I was going to wait for, was if you go back to the select tool here, you can select annotations and then highlight everything, and I can just delete everything that I selected there. So if you're using the same document for multiple classes, again, you can let me just highlight something so I can show you. You can go back up to the select tool, select annotations, and this is a really easy way to get rid of, oh no, my computer's being slow. This is a really easy way to get rid of annotations. And of course, no, it's slow, so it's not popping up. But once I highlighted it here, it would pop up and I can just click on the trash can and everything would disappear for me. So this is a really great tool that we can have to be able to delete that all at once, especially if you're using the same document for multiple classes. It's an easy way to get rid of everything. And then the last main feature I want to show you guys is the add media. So you can actually have students insert their own images or their drawings or be able to do a Google image search. So I can upload images from my computer. I can upload images from my drive. So if you have students take a screenshot of something or uploading a different image that they have, you can also do a Google image search. And the great thing, just like any other Google image search like this, is that all of these are automatically labeled for commercial use with modification. So I don't have to worry about copyright issues. So if I can insert a picture of a dog, I can insert that picture of a dog there, get rid of this. And now I can use the same tools to be able to draw, like I'm going to draw a mustache on our dog there. So you can use the same, they can annotate the picture. So you can have them find an image and be able to annotate it as well. So this is a really great feature of like having them search for their own, or like if you're doing vocab charts, having them find a image that matches the vocab chart. So again, that was under Add Media, just the Google image search. And they've added in a couple of other things too. Now they can add in YouTube videos. So maybe you tell them, hey, find a video that relates to this concept. So they can actually insert YouTube videos directly into here as well. Or stickers. We know that students love stickers. No matter what age that they are, there's some stickers that they can have too. This could also be for you too. As you're grading, you can add in stickers like there's like a top notch. So you can add in a sticker to let them know that their work was really good. So they're kind of like, you know, a little bit like, I feel like I've taught from freshmen to seniors and kids get excited about stickers. I've even taught preschool and I feel like my seniors had more excitement than my preschoolers did sometimes. So you can add in all of those features with there. Yeah, true. It's seniors especially, man. They get like, I think they like revert back to like super kid phase. Like they know adulthood's coming, so they just. And then the last one, which we've been using a lot of, is our signatures. So all of those images or all of those documents that the district sends us, you can just open up with Cami and be able to draw your signature. I love that you can draw your signature on your phone, so it can kind of look like your signature, and then just insert it directly. So lots of easy ways to do this. All right. So with, we have a couple more minutes and then we're going to go to break. So I told you guys we will go into Google Classroom. And so I'm going to open up one of my Google Classroom, from last semester. These poor kids this week, they're going to be like, why is Dodd assigning things? Because I'm using them, experimenting with them this week. They should be used to it by now, but they're probably like, what is she doing? When I go into classwork, I'm just going to click that magic create button that I use for pretty much everything else under classwork and when I assign work. But this time, once you have the extension, and I think Ms. Mason talks about, mentioned that you probably have to add and give permissions for it. So look out for those permissions. It's been a while since I added Cami to Chrome, so I can't remember exactly how you add those permissions, but it's either going to pop up here or it'll ask you to, like, once you add it here. It was pretty easy from what I remember, but they might have changed it since I last added it on it too. But once you're in Google Classroom, you can click create. And you should see the Cami assignment here. It didn't show up on yours. All right. So for those that we might have to have some group knowledge here, because like I said, it's been a while since I added it on. And for me, I just remember like clicking one button for it to show up. Make sure that you've signed in on your Cami extension here. So make sure you've signed in there. And then we'll troubleshoot a little bit from there. This is why I love GoGuardian too. Like when this happens in my class where like things aren't like, I can just see their screens automatically and be able to see what exactly it's doing. I feel like GoGuardian has made me feel a little bit more like a sane teacher in distance learning. Yes, and thank you, Marilyn. Sometimes the easiest answer is the best answer and the one that's often forgotten about. So if you you might need to refresh your Chromebook, yeah, just make sure you give those permissions for Google Classroom, and that for it all to sync in. And yeah, that sometimes I always feel like I go to the most complex answer first, and sometimes it's the easiest one. So it might be just the troubleshooting. All right, I'm gonna show you guys, if remember we have our sandbox time too that we can kind of play and I can kind of help troubleshoot too. Let me just show you because we're all kind of all at different places now. I'll show you what it looks like to assign a Kami assignment and then what it looks like to grade a Kami assignment. So, and then during sandbox time, if you're having issues getting it on, we can work out those issues. So to create a Kami assignment, again, you go to your magic button here and once you have it on here, if you don't have it yet, you'll click on Kami assignment and it's going to look slightly different, but it's going to have the same things that we have for a normal assignment. So it's going to be, for mine, it's black, but it could just because I usually have the black screen instead of the white screen on there. But what we have here is I can assign it. So I can assign it to multiple classes. So if I want this for period 1 and period 3, I can select it if I want it for that. Or if I'm just doing it for one class and I only want to send this to a group of students, I can just select a group of students. So if I'm doing group work or differentiated work, I can just send it to like a group, like a specific group of students. Excuse me. Publish just means that it's going to publish right away to Google Classroom versus draft means it's going to kind of sit in the waiting room of Google Classroom. It won't be live for students yet. Most of the time I just click on published. And then I will put in the title. So I'll just put in test Kami. I can put in instructions if I want to put in instructions here. And then the same options we have with Google Classroom. So give it a point value if I want to leave it at 100 points. I can select the due date. So maybe this is due on Friday. It's when you select the due date, unlike Google Classroom, it's also going to force you to select the time. I usually just click the very last options here just because I don't really care as long as it's due on that day. But it will force you to select the time. And then you can also schedule these out. So if I want this scheduled out now, or if I want this scheduled out Friday, maybe this is something that I'm doing Friday at 8 a.m., I can have this scheduled out to my students there. And unlike Google Classroom, I can actually schedule this out to multiple classes. So Google Classroom, when you have a normal assignment, you can only schedule one class at a time. If you do a Kami assignment, you can actually select multiple classes to schedule it. Oh, sorry. Oh, no, it does. That's not why it's there. You can actually schedule it out to multiple classes at once. So this is another great reason to use Kami. If you're setting up your classes the night before, you can actually schedule it out to multiple classes and not have to go through multiple steps to do it. What it is stopping me. Oh, and then topics. If you have topics in Google Classroom, you can select the topic that it's going to go under as well. Now, why it's not allowing me, this is like gray, the assign button is gray right now because I have to have at least one file to attach here. So I can go into my Google Drive and I can, if you're using Google for anything if you're using it for, you're creating your document or you created a slide in Google Classroom, then you can assign it there. So if I assign them today's presentation, it's automatically going to make a copy for each student. Now, this is going to turn into a PDF. So if you're using slides, all of your links should work, but it's going to kind of turn it into like a printable version of your slides. So it won't look quite the same. It'll just look like a paper version essentially of it. One thing to note though, if you are doing group work, and this is where it gets literally really cumbersome, is if you're assigning it to, you have to create its own Google document. So you have to have like a Google Doc called like period 1, group 1, because anybody that gets assigned, like think of like your master document is like what gets created as far as like their PDFs. So like if you're doing group work and I just have students can edit file, that they're going to be able to edit that master copy, that PDF version of that master copy. So whoever opens that PDF version in Kami is going to be editing the same document. So that's probably like really confusing. If you don't know what I mean, like you probably don't need to worry about that. I just want to throw that out there. But most of the time we are just going to make a copy for each student anyways, and then click assign. And each student is going to get their own copy. It's going to show up just like a Google Classroom assignment for them. And it takes a little bit because I think I have a lot of students there. I can see my progress bar working here. And now I have it in Google Classroom. So I can open it up there and I can see it, and the students will have it directly there. So when I go into classwork, I can see the task Kami assignment that I've created. It should appear up the top once it loads, and I'll be able to have it there as well. And so there's my test Kami. This one is scheduled out because I scheduled it out for Friday. So this one is scheduled out so that you can see that it's scheduled. Once it comes posted, then it will be posted for sure. But just keep that in mind if you're scheduling out. It will appear gray because I have it scheduled out there. Now to grade those Google Classrooms, I'm going to open up one of their Avid journals. So like I said, I assign a lot of things in Kami with it. So to look at this, let's see who turned it in way late. So looking at this assignment, I'm going to open this assignment just like I do for every other assignment in Google Classroom. So I'm going to open it up. It's going to look like a Google Classroom assignment here. The difference is now I'm going to have a button here that says grade with Kami. So right now that's turned off. So I don't have any of the Kami features. However, I can turn it on and it's going to reload for me. And now it takes a minute to reload, but now I have all of those Kami features, the exact same features that we just went over. So if I want to leave voice comments, if I want to highlight student text, if I want to leave them the good job stickers, I have all of those same features in Kami, and I can just see it all in Google Classroom. So I can grade it all at once in Google Classroom. I can still use all those same features here, and then I can give it a score and then move on, return it, and then move on to the next students. So this is one of the really great features too, is that you have some flexibility in how you give feedback as well using Kami. So you can use those video comments or those voice comments or whatever you want to do. And as long as it does take like a minute, or like not quite a minute, but when I have it, I can have it here.